हेलो एंड वेलकम टू टुडेज लाइव। आज मैं जिसके साथ लाइव जाने जा रही हूँ, ही इज इंडियाज foremost educational guidance counselor and a Harvard alum. He has a degree in business law and psychology, and he also runs a foundation called KGEF, the Karan Gupta Educational Foundation, where he works for the underprivileged and education. And I am very happy to be talking to him today because आज बहुत सारी questions है as parents and as kids and as people on the threshold of their career, and we have so many questions that we would like to ask Karan. So I am just going to wait now for him to ask to be in the live. In the meanwhile, if you have questions, please send them to me during the live, and towards the end I will try to answer as many of them as I can. I will give you all shout outs at some point, but not in the middle of the answers, because कल मैं shout outs जब दे रही थी तो answers थोड़े बीच बीच में कट रहे थे. So I will speak to you when we finish with the whole live, and we will any personal questions that you have, I will definitely try to answer them.
Shiba, I can see you.
Hello, so nice to see you. How good you look, man.
How good you're looking, darling. You always look good. I have to try. You're naturally good looking.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely
What's
to
up,
hear.
darling? How are you?
I'm very well and very anxious and very excited to have you on my live today. Not only is Karan a very, very dear friend of mine, but he's one of the smartest guys I know. And I turn to him for advice constantly because मेरे दो बच्चे हैं, teenagers. One is in college, and when he was going to college, I ended up calling him a lot. And now I have one on the threshold of going or not to go to college. So over to you, Karan. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much, Shiba. And before I tell you about myself, let me just tell the audience again here that you all know Shiba as an actress. You all know Shiba as a yoga teacher. I know Shiba as a very good, loyal friend. I know Shiba as a master editor. She made this beautiful video for me for my birthday. And that video has now, Shiba is the benchmark. Even now, people send messages. They're like, listen, हम लोगों ने भी वीडियो बना ली अपनी बर्थडे के लिए यार, but it's not even as good as yours. Can you tell us how you did it? And I'm like, well, you need to contact the master editor Shiba.
And what about
So
concept creative? क्या creative दिमाग भी एक चीज होती है?
editing, creation, execution, the madness of putting 45 people in one video in 2.5, 3 minutes, only you could achieve that. I don't think anyone else could. So that was brilliant.
Basically. So you're very welcome, Karan. It was my
Okay.
pleasure to do it. You know how much I love my friends. And I love
Thank
you
you.
for the fact that you didn't even ask me a second question when you said, Karan, will you go live with me and can we answer questions of हमारे सारे friends हैं जिनके सबके बच्चे, you know most of them. You pretty much know my entire circle of friends, and we all have kids pretty much the same age. And all of us are so anxious to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Shiba. You won't believe this is my first Insta Live where someone is talking to me and interviewing me. Usually it's the other way around. So that's why I'm asking you basic questions. Shiba, अगर किसी का कॉल आ गया बीच में तो क्या करेंगे? So that's why I had to ask you these
हम
basic
कॉल आंसर
questions.
नहीं करेंगे.
All
तो
right.
आपको
So
बात करनी है, लाइव पे बात करेगा.
Hanji, you asked me about myself. So I studied in the US many, many years ago. I did my undergrad in the US. When I came back to India, there were several people who were looking to study abroad. And this was back in the 90s where the internet was just starting. There used to be that TCP dial-up account where you had to literally hear that tone, that, that tone used to come, and then you used to actually connect to the internet. So there was no real internet at that time. And so people wanted help to study abroad. And that's when I started counseling students. And this was back in 1999. And along the way, I did my master's degree. I did an MBA from
तो
Spain.
अभी
Then I
तक आपने
did.
कितने स्टूडेंट्स को भेजा है टू स्टडी फर्दर स्टडीज?
Whew, very good question. So, if you count the people who I speak to in my seminars and in my workshops, there are over 62,000 students over the last 21 years. Is the number of students that I've helped with? Yes, it's a big number.
But I
So,
also see about you, Karan, that even you are a educationalist who continues to be a student. You love furthering your education.
Shiba, learning never stops. You always have to learn. And today, I did my MBA, my executive MBA from Harvard. I did my career counseling program all while I was working. So most of my education has been while I was working. That's why most of my clients, when they come to me and they see Dr. Karan Gupta, they're like, you've done bachelor's, master's, MBA, executive MBA, PhD, but you look younger than my son. So
We'll get to those secrets at the end of the show.
at the end of the show, ठीक है, पूछ लेना, जो भी, whatever you want to ask.
सारी वो
So
use
yes,
वाली secrets.
of course, सारी youth secret बता दूंगा. So a large part of my career, of course, has been helping students with their education, their career options, what they should study further, all of that. And a very large part of my time is also dedicated to underprivileged students, students who can't afford further education, kids who don't know what to study, they're dropping out of school, even people in orphanages and like who don't have any additional help. So I have my foundation, which does the same thing I do for students with education and careers. We do it for underprivileged kids as well. So that takes up a significant amount of my time too. So that's, yeah, I think that's it about myself. Anything else which you specifically want to know?
No, they were going to quickly get into the question and answer section because I know there are so many people anxious to ask a lot of questions. I have quite a few here, but let's start with what is the new normal currently, the scenario. आज के
Sure.
scenario में what's going on and how have you changed your way of counseling people? Because आपका काम तो बंद नहीं हुआ है, obviously.
No.
So
No.
tell me, what is the new normal according to you?
You know, couple of interesting things, Shiva. One, I mean, I don't even have to tell you, this pandemic has made our world upside down. We are in this constant state of uncertainty. Once a student asked me that, can you tell me if I would be able to go in September? And I'm like, even God doesn't know the answer to that question right now. So I can't answer that question. Sorry?
But Karan might know it.
Well, that was the hope. But yes, I can, well, I may not know the exact answer, but I can give you options. And that's what I do. I give people options. Okay, you can do this or this or this and help you weigh the pros and cons of each
so
option.
let's start with this first question only. Ki September May my kid has to go to school, for example. What is my option? You
Okay,
be
so
the
now,
God right now. The education
sure.
God.
Sure. So now, one, I tell students that I personally don't think it's safe to travel. I personally tell students and parents that it's not my recommendation that you send your child abroad. If you're sending your child right now, be prepared that the child is going to get COVID, but also be prepared that there's a very high chance that your child is going to be fine. Nothing bad is going to happen, right? Because these are young children with strong immune systems, but you can't expect these children to do social distancing. You can't expect them to be in a university setting, be with each other all the time, and then maintain that distance. It's not going to happen. So if you're sending your child at this time, be prepared that the child is going to catch this virus, but they're going to be okay. Now, so if you want, I have some students who, despite everything, they're still traveling in September. They went to the US consulate, they've got their visas, the consulate has opened, they gave emergency dates, people got their visas in this week, there's still some who are getting it today and tomorrow, and people are flying out on the weekend. So if you want to go to the US this year in September, that's next month, you can go. The visa, you'll get your visas, you can go. Now, for the ones who want a more cautious approach, take your classes online. Study for a semester online. Let's see the situation in Jan. If Jan is bad, we'll send you in May. If May is bad, we'll send you in August. You will go eventually. Fortunately, with this pandemic, we are seeing an end. We know that the vaccine is going to come. When it will come is the question, but it's going to come. So there is going to be an end. The question is when. So if you want, start your courses online in January, in August, start your courses online in Jan, and then travel when it's safe. The third option is take a gap year. Don't do anything for this 1 year, anything academic in class, and spend your time building your profile instead. I quickly corrected myself. It's not like don't do anything for this 1 year. That goes against everything I believe in. But yes, so these are the three main options that the kids would have.
Karan, I must make you pause over here for a second. Why is it not okay to not do online and take a gap year and goof off for mental health? What are you addressing mental health of these kids in the current scenario? Are you them? I mean, when you say you're a career counselor, you also go with kids' mental health, right?
We have
so why don't you just tell them goof off this 1 year?
Yeah. So, in the beginning, you asked me what has changed in my counseling approach. Now, for several years, I've counseled students from all parts of the world. We've had people from the US, Singapore, UK, UAE, Australia. We do online counseling. It's not a big deal for me to do online counseling, and we've been doing it from March now, even for the Mumbai kids who can't come to the office.
Correct.
But what's changed is that now we are talking about not just education and career options or study abroad or study in India. We're trying to address a holistic approach for the student. Now, what else is happening in your life? Like kids now have Zoom fatigue. Kids they get angry. I've had children, they get angry that, oh, Zoom. It's like, oh my God, they hate that word now. Kids can't spend so much time in front of a computer screen. It was fun in the beginning. It was a novelty. You could put the screen on pause, run around the house, play with the dog and come back. All that was fun in the beginning. But after a while, when this has set in, that I'm not meeting my friends, I'm not sitting in a classroom, I'm constantly sitting at home, putting the computer on, of course it's going to affect their mental health, and that's what I talk to them about as well. I try to give them solutions and options that this is what you can do. A very important thing also is to talk to the teachers and ask them to change the way they're teaching these kids online. That has to change, because if the
What
teachers
can
don't
they change?
change that,
Karan, there is
so
a
now,
certain curriculum they need to complete, and there's a time frame set to the teachers. Even for the teachers, it's a very new scenario. Nobody has faced this. So I'm for you and me as a parent, and you as a counselor who's dealing with kids constantly. If I ask the teachers, make it fun, they're going to turn on and tell me, how am I going to make it fun for the kids? I have to complete my curriculum, and I can't make kids, I'm not there physically, so I can't make kids keep their camera on. I can't make them keep their volume on. Sometimes kids will end up saying, no, I don't have Wi-Fi, and go off and lie down in bed, goof off. So how do you think a teacher can make learning more fun? And especially for older kids, 5th grade under, so I feel take a gap year and just chill in life. As per me, do you agree with me?
well, when I say chill, reading at home is also chilling. If you're going to make the child take a gap year and make the child read, I'm with you. If you're going to make the child learn educational games and you're going to make them do educational courses online, I'm with you. You want the child to focus on a business plan, what they had thought about, and even
Yeah,
if it's just a
but
fun
what about
plan,
in the
I'm with
normal
you.
world, in the new world, how to do it when they're stuck in the house?
We do all of it online. There are fantastic online courses, and I'll tell you specifically which ones. You can take online courses. There are online internships. Every single thing could be done online as well. You don't have to step out of your house to build your profile. But if you're taking
So
the
you
gap year, there are things that you must do. Okay, one
okay.
second. Coming back to the point about what teachers can do. Now, gamification is huge today. Kids love games. We love games. As adults, also, we love games. If I want to teach you about finance, I want to teach you earnings per share, dividends, I want to teach you about market capitalization. All I have to do, Shiba, if you're in my class, I'm going to give you 1 lakh virtual rupees, and I'll give you a website where I want you to go and invest that money. And I want you to tell me, why did you select these companies? Did you study the balance sheets? What did you study on the balance sheet that made you invest? What happened a week later? Did you make money? Did you lose money? And did you buy, sell? I'll make you trade. I'll make you have fun while learning finance. At the end of it, I'm not going to give you a textbook and say, tell me the definition of a profit and loss account. No. Tell me what you learned in your game. Now that can make learning fun. Let's
But
gamify
but
things.
isn't that an IB profile? Because when I sit with my kids to teach them something, say out of the business book, there are a lot of real life situations that they create. Which I'm going to come to my question. As per you, Karan, what is the difference between an IB school today and the normal CBSE or the Indian system of education? What is the difference?
See, to sum it up, the real difference is how our Indian system focuses on rote learning. We want to take things from the textbook, we expect you to memorize it, and we expect you to put the exact words on your paper. But that does not happen in IB and other international boards. It's analysis. They want you to analyze. Tell me what you understood from that chapter. Tell me your thoughts. I'm more interested in your application based learning rather than rote based learning. That's the difference between the Indian system and the IB system or any international board system which is well known. End
Okay,
of
now
the day,
tell me the difference between a diploma and a degree.
say that again, the diploma and degree for a bachelor's level.
Yeah, what is the difference?
So, well, a diploma normally is a shorter duration program. it's not got as much recognition in the job market as a degree does. A degree normally has more recognition. People would look at a degree to even study further. For example, if after the 12th grade I do a diploma, I can't do a master's degree. I would have to then do a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree. So in the hierarchy of education, the diploma is not given too much weightage. With that said, if you're a technical education person and you just want to learn about air conditioning and air conditioning parts, after the 12th grade, you can do a diploma in air conditioning and you can work in that particular field, if that is your objective. Normally speaking, most people who have access to quality education don't opt for a diploma, they take a degree.
Okay. All right.
So yes, so for the teachers, gamification, and in addition to gamification, it's the whole approach. Like I tell teachers, don't give points, give badges. What if you gave badges to the kids? What if you like played levels? Like in a game, you have different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Make your education in that pattern. Make the child look forward to your class. That Zoom fatigue will die when they have to come to your class because they'll be like, wow, today I'm going to have fun in your class.
Right.
I remember when I was at Harvard, I used to get up at 6 in the morning to get to this one class of my professor because every day it was like a theater performance. She would come there and wow us with the most amazing concept, and we'd all be like, wow. And then at the end, we'll like, oh, we learned this because the learning would come right at the end. That's how education should be. Make it fun.
Okay, so now basically along with students, you'll have to start counseling teachers as well.
Yes. Well, see, you said in the beginning that even teachers are new to the situation. Their teachers are going online who've never taught online, but they do come with a certain level of experience and a certain level of maturity,
Correct.
which the kids don't have. And therefore, the onus of making this fun, the onus of making this interesting for the kids is on the teacher. It's not on the student.
Okay, so you were talking about profile building in this gap year and these online courses that are available. So there are, for example, free courses available from Coursera or Oxford, or pretty much every college is today offering us free courses. How relevant are they to my transcript eventually when I'm going to go on for further studies? Are they even relevant? Are they going to give me any brownie points? Are they going to give me any credits?
So you won't get credits traditionally as we think of it. So if you're doing a 4-year degree, but you've done Coursera courses, the degree is not going to become 3.5 years because you don't get college credit for it. But what you get is a head start on those classes. So for example, if you're doing computer science and you need to have Python and you take introduction to Python on Coursera, you'll cope better when you're actually in that Python class. More than anything, if you're a business or a finance student and on your resume, you list the different courses that you've taken, that's going to look fantastic on your later master's application or whatever else you're applying for. So end of the day,
well, I can see are asking about Indian colleges. Non-stop we are speaking about furthering our education to go abroad. What about the situation in Indian colleges today?
So as you know, the 10th and 12th grade exams were conducted. As you know that some of the exams, which were not conducted, kids got average marks. But at the end of the day, they did get a mark sheet. They did get the grades of the 10th grade. They got the grades of the 12th grade. For those students, college admissions are going to happen as normal. They're going to be cutoffs. As you know, some of the BCom cutoffs this year were 94 and 95%. Some of the BMS cutoffs luckily went down to like 80, 85%, 85, 87%. So the people who are going for the normal business degrees, art degrees, BSc degrees in India, no problem for any of those kids because they actually got their 12th marks. People who are trying to come into 11th and 12th, no problem, they actually got their 10th marks. The problem is if you want to study engineering in India or you want to study medicine in India, the NEET exam, the common admission tests have not been conducted. JEE mains are not conducted. Now, the Supreme Court has very recently refused to extend the dates of these tests, and these tests are scheduled to be conducted in the first week of September. So no matter how scared you are about your child being in public, how scared you are about your child being in a setting where lots of other children are going to be there, if you want admission in India, engineering, or you want medical school admission, you have to sit for the NEET exam or the JEE exam in the first week of September. And that is terrible. So if you go through the guidelines, so the centers claim that they're going to have more social distancing. They claim they're going to take temperature checks of students before they enter. If a student is found to have high temperature, they go to a separate room and they take the test, but they still have to do the test.
Oh my God, that's too
That
much.
is the that's the guideline. So studying in India for professional courses right now is insane. I mean, 9,35,000 students take your JEE, and 1.5 million students are taking the NEET. Please tell me, Shiba, how are we going to do social distancing when they take the exams?
It's just not possible. So, and you don't see this scenario changing in the near future. They're just
Well,
going by.
at least
Uh,
till next year, there's going to be no change, which means that if you are not comfortable sending your child to do the NEET or you want or the JEE exam, you have no option but to then take the gap year and go next year.
okay, so now let's talk about the skills of the future.
Sure. So, this is again a very good question because normally the question is people ask me, what are the jobs of the future? And I go on saying, no, 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 don't think about the jobs of the future. Think about the skills of the future. So, yes, when you talk about innovation, creativity, problem solving, resilience, what we all need right now, you talk about mental health. These are things that you need to learn in an education. Problem solving, critical thinking. These are the critical skills that any education should provide you.
I'm going to tell you about this very interesting things. We've heard of IQ and EQ. Have you heard of SQ and AQ? It's the spiritual quotient and the adversity quotient. How to deal with all different cognitive skills and all the different senses of your life for education. Because I need to have a basic adversity skill. Abhi, there are very adverse circumstances going on, correct? And I need to also be calm. So
Right.
I'm just plugging in my yoga here. You can totally tell, right?
I love it. Please go ahead.
So SQ and AQ is what I'm adding to your IQ and EQ for
Hmm.
skills of the future. So tell me what else.
So I think we have to look at developing these skills in these kids and then try to transfer them because this is what I call transferable skills. You get these skills, even if 5 years later, the job that you studied for doesn't exist, your skills are with you. You can transfer the skills to another job.
For
And that
example,
is what education should prepare you for. That's like the
so for
most important
example,
thing.
what should you study?
So now, for example, let's say you're studying computer science and you need to work on problem solving. You need to work on free thinking. Now, if let's say, for example, you're in an Indian education system and this doesn't provide it to you, take your classes separately. For example, if you're doing Bachelor of Engineering in India, join a storytelling course on Coursera. Join a Introduction to Python on Coursera. Take a course in communication skills, which is so important today. I mean, that is the number one thing that employers look for. Can you communicate or not? Take your communication skills separately. So don't blame it on the Indian education that, look, I'm stuck here with the bachelors. They don't teach me, and therefore this is how I've turned out. It doesn't work that way. If you're in the Indian education system, take your transferable skills separately on Coursera, edX, Udacity. There are several websites which will give you fantastic online learning.
And what about doing online MBAs? Somebody just asked in our audience. Online MBAs or PhDs, are they as hold as much weightage as doing it as in a contact learning environment?
So, typically an online education is pretty much what we're all doing right now. And prior to the pandemic, also online education was picking up rather quickly. There's a difference between distance learning and online.
Right.
Distance learning typically means that I'm going to send you books, you study, I'm going to give you an exam center, you go there and you take your exam. That's distance learning.
Right.
Online means I'm going to have virtual classrooms. I'm going to have a class online. I'm going to teach you online live. I'm going to have interaction with other students. I'm going to replicate a traditional classroom online. That's the difference between traditional learning and online learning, right? Now, the value of it depends on what you're doing. So, for example, if you do an online MBA and then you look for a job in a completely different sector, it might be difficult for you. It might even be difficult for you to convince an employer of the value that you have got through the online MBA. So if you have a good brand name, for example, there's Imperial University in the UK, there's IE Business School in Spain. These schools are very good for online programs. You have one of those, then you have a large alumni network that you can bank on, and they can help you progress your career. So then the value of an online MBA is more because you've got a good, strong alumni network and they'll help you get a job or help you progress your career. Now, if you're telling me online MBA just for your own learning, it's fantastic, no problem. But if you're talking about career advancement, we have to be a little bit careful.
Okay, I have Navya asking how important is SAT and ACT for the admissions of the coming year? How much importance and relevance are colleges giving?
Yeah. See, this is a very good question because 2021 admissions outside of India, especially the US, are a little bit different. Because of the pandemic and because of the challenges people are going to face taking the SAT exam, it's already been cancelled. May, June, October, everything was cancelled. Now, August, sorry, it might happen in October. Colleges abroad have said that if you don't have the SAT, ACT, SAT subject test, we will consider your application complete. We will not hold it against you that you don't have these tests. But that only means that now there's more emphasis given on your actual academics and more emphasis given on your extracurriculars, your letters of recommendation, the essays that you write, the other components of the application become more important.
So, but also, in this scenario, how do I do my extracurriculars and my CAS and community and service?
You have to find the best way to do it online. You have to find NGOs that are asking you to do projects for them. You have to start finding, okay, maybe you write a proposal for an NGO online. You find a way to do your community service.
Underprivileged who are out on the streets and they don't have access to internet, and I want to go out on the streets as part of my CAS activity and teach them, for example. You have a lot of students who did that. They went out on the streets and taught kids how to read, and how Mansi's daughter has that little free library. So, so they've... how do you do those things? How do you add that to your profile? I want to go out and do something for old people. I want to go out and do something for the animals. In today's scenario, I can't add that to my resume. Then what do I do?
Well, you can't do much about it. The only thing you can do is try to find an online version of what you're doing and see if it's possible. If social distancing allows you to do that activity, you do it. But you really can't do much if you're required to go into a slum and teach. It's not possible anymore. You have to wait till the pandemic comes down and find.
Do what I want to do. Will the students still, will the college still hold it against me that I don't have the required CAS hours?
No, because what happened before the pandemic? What happened before March 2020? What were you doing then? If you explain to me that from 2018 to 20 I did this, but now because of the pandemic I can't do this anymore, that's absolutely fine. But if you are this type of student who has got up last minute, and you're like, okay, now I want to go and do something, and because of the pandemic, I can't. And in the past also have not done anything, then you will not be able to convince the admissions committee. So we look at your past.
So actually this year it's null and void, basically.
I don't count 2020 also. So yes, I agree. I think it's null and void. But okay, coming back to your question about 2021 admissions. So while the SAT, ACT and subject tests are optional, having them makes a big difference in the application. So we do expect that the tests will happen in October, November, and December. And if they are happening in October, November, December, you should do it because the candidates who do present scores versus candidates who don't present scores, you can imagine who's going to be preferred.
Okay. Now tell me how important is education in life?
So I love that question. I keep getting examples from students that Dhirubhai Ambani did not study that much, and Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college, and this one dropped out, and that one dropped out, and I'm like, which college did they drop out of again? Was it Harvard? Was it Stanford? Really? So they got into that college and dropped out, no? So first get in the college, then we'll talk about the dropout. Now, secondly, the people, when you're talking about these 3 or 4 or 5 or 50 names, it's a tiny percentage of the most successful people. Today, if you go into the Forbes billionaire list, and if that's your definition of success, and you want to look through those billionaires, understand what their profiles are. All of them have high quality educations. All of them have great life experiences. They've been hardworking. There is a common skill set between successful people. And one of that common skill set factors is education. So education is important if you want to succeed in life. It changes your outlook. Now, I'm not talking...
Education and intelligence.
Look, again, so that's what I was coming to. I'm not necessarily saying that if you don't study, you're not intelligent. That I don't even think there's a correlation. I know super successful people who are very intelligent but are not educated in terms of having a degree.
Degree.
There are other forms of education. Like I said, take your online course. You don't need to have a degree if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing very well in your business, but keep upping your skills. Learn to become a better manager. Learn to communicate better. Learn to manage people better. This is also education. I
Correct.
count this as paramount in life. For me, education, whether it's degree, self-learning, or online courses, for me, that's number one in life.
So tell me about you. What is the biggest lie that you were taught in school?
Oh, Shiba, yes, yesterday I asked you that please tell me the questions you're going to ask me, and you said, yeah, I'll just ask you one, two basic things. Now, this is something to really think about. So, okay, what is the question again?
What is the biggest lie you were taught in school?
Okay, the biggest lie we were taught. I think we were taught that some of the things we are studying, like let's say, for example, in chemistry, it's going to be very useful in my life. And something taught in something taught in physics especially, I would always need it. I don't think that was true though. although, although I keep telling people that to make a sentence, you need to learn the alphabets. Everything that we are studying, they're building blocks. But
Correct.
yes, in certain cases, some of the building blocks don't make sense.
Oh God. So tell me, what according to you, what according to you is wrong with the educational system today?
शिबा इतना टाइम
In
कहाँ
your,
है? You said 30 minutes ना? So if you're
I
asking me
think
what is wrong with the
190.
education system,
I
उसमें तो एक
forgot
घंटा
what
चला
about you
जाएगा.
can cancel this
No,
question.
but I'll
Is
tell you I'll summarize it.
huh,
We focus too much on theory. We
correct.
focus too much on specific memorizing. That's not education. Education should enjoy it, which means teach me something practical, teach me something fun, make it fun for me. If certain building blocks are not fun, make those fun for me.
You
That's
know,
missing in our system.
no, what about what do you have to say about how Finland, they already from a very young age encourage children to learn what they feel is their advantage and strength. Like you said, unnecessarily, why do I need to learn, say, chemistry and physics if I am a creative inclined person? Or unnecessarily, why should I learn math when it's never going to help me in life because I've decided I want to be a
Yes.
chef? So, do you think that this is the way forward education should move? Ki we should now start inculcating kids in their strengths instead of, bashing them up for their weakness.
It's very, very interesting that you bring this up because the new national education policy of 2020, which has come out, I was so excited when I read that policy. So I'll just like it's an insane policy, but I'll just summarize it once again. That policy is now allowing me to become a computer engineer and learn history at the same time in the Indian system. It's allowing me to exit when I want to exit. So let's say I do 1 year of college and I see some other opportunity that's coming my way. I can earn a diploma for that 1 year and I can exit and do something I want. It's not like I'm a college dropout anymore. I can drop out at 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If I want to study 4 years, I can do 4 years. If I want to add research, I can add research.
In
If I
India,
want to do in India, starting from next year,
wow,
I'm not even talking about a futuristic system. There's a date being given, 2021 implementation.
that is beyond amazing.
Exactly. And that's what I was so excited about. That now suddenly you're telling me that I can be a computer engineer with a minor in psychology and a major in economics. Yes. Great. Now we have to see how many colleges implemented, how fast they implemented. Yes. So that is still a little bit of a question mark. But the principle is beautiful. It's giving us that freedom. It's removing school exams where they're not necessary. It's allowing me to pick subjects of my choice. It's giving me one common admission test for nearly everything. So I don't have to look at the JEE mains, then I have to look at NEET. I don't have to look at so many exams. There's one exam they'll give me. They're making life easy and super flexible for students.
Okay. So, quickly to sum it up, tell me online or gap?
Sorry?
Online education or gap year?
Oh,
Quick choice.
gap year,
Harvard or IIT?
Harvard,
Stay in India or study abroad?
study abroad.
Uh, if you had to choose, Karan, would you choose the same career again in your life if you had do over?
100 times, 100 lifetimes I would do the same career, because nothing gives me more joy than helping people, in whether it's my foundation, whether it's my consulting firm. The satisfaction I get at the end of the day, knowing that I have helped someone get on their career, the happiness they get, the happiness their families get, how many lives are impacted with this kind of work. I would advise more and more people to come in the field of education.
So, what motivated you to begin the KGEF, the Educational Foundation?
So, when I started the consulting firm KGC, at that point, I was like, always like, okay, I have all these privileged kids who come to me. I help the privileged kids with their education. Let me just sponsor some kids who don't have access to education. And I started sending checks to municipal schools, checks to slum schools. Then one day when I went and visited, I saw that these kids are actually dropping out. They'll study till the eighth grade, drop out, sixth grade, drop out. So I started going there and teaching myself. I said, let me see why are they dropping out. So I started holding classes, started talking to them about what they can do after the 10th grade, why they should study. That was a huge draw for me when I saw that the kids stopped dropping out. That was the birth of the foundation. And the foundation ran as much as the consulting firm. It's still in existence. We still are sponsoring kids, helping kids stay in school, how much ever possible. Even in this pandemic, we have gone and given food in orphanages, defied that lockdown. We have sent online transfers to the kids who we sponsor, because now when they are in a containment zone, they still need money to buy vegetables. The government is giving free rice, free grains. But what about vegetables and milk and medicines? Where does money come from that? So we are sending money for that. This is what really gives me joy.
And does your foundation also sponsor education and degrees and sponsor a kid?
Always. So we have a lot of like the kids who are doing bachelor's level courses.
Yeah.
Although our focus is for children in the primary education, at least let's get the 10th grade done. That is the first goal.
And
But
how
wherever,
do you access this foundation of yours? Supposing there
so
are some people who are asking, if there are kids in need, how do they get in touch with you?
very easy. All they got to do is get onto the website kgef.org.in, and there is something called scholarship. You can put all your details there, fill out your application, and we'll get in touch with you. And the ones who need consulting, they go to the other website, which is karangupta.com.
And that is where you help kids for career counseling only from 10th grade or 12th grade or even post-college masters.
But in this lockdown, one of the things I did differently was we started looking at children from the sixth grade onwards who need help in developing their profile, not just from an academic point of view, but stress management, time management, setting goals, mindfulness. And what we did was we came up with a mentoring program. It's called a student mentorship program. You do it online. You have 27 online courses, videos, readings, exercises, quizzes, and you start at the sixth grade. So that by the time you reach the ninth grade, you already have those skills that we need for you to succeed further.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds absolutely amazing, Karan. You are the best career counselor in the country, and I am very proud to call you my friend. And I am so happy that not only do you make people go abroad, but you give back to society, which is so important. And that's such a well-rounded individual that you are. That as much as you're getting for the kids, you're also giving back to the world. So, do our friends have any questions right now that you would like to answer? Were you able to see? Because you have like a whole fan base going over here, Karan, going crazy for you.
Oh, really? I'm looking forward to reading the comments later. Right now, I can't see anything. I told you before that at this distance, I'm blind. I can see you because you're so beautiful with the lovely background. I can see that, but I can't see any comments right now.
This background is only for you. I just want you to know, see how much I read.
But Sheeps, the first time I met you, what, abhi 10 saal to ho gaye? Aram se 10 saal ho gaye since I know you. Aram se. One of the first few conversations we had was about your reading.
Yeah, I read like a maniac.
Yeah,
And,
but that's amazing because I'm not sure, I know that your kids read as well. And reading is so important today because it helps your concentration, your vocabulary, grammar, communication. If you're going to take competitive exams later, it helps
interesting
you.
question here. There's a lady who said I took a gap to be a mom. How can I resume my career? Is that possible, or do we need to add something to it?
Well, we should address what the student has done in the gap year. We should talk about all the different
a
things.
housewife. She took
Oh, okay.
she took time off to bring up her children. Now she wants to join the workforce again. What's different?
When we were talking about my foundation, one of the things that the foundation does besides education of children is women empowerment. That is also something we're very close to because the kids who are most neglected are normally girls. And so we've moved a lot towards women empowerment. And in that context, I had gone for a workshop and I was talking to this group, this big, large group of women about all the things they can do. And a similar question was raised about a mom who said that after 14 years of raising my kids, I now want to start working. So what do I put on my LinkedIn profile? So I said, 14 years of working. So you are number one at conflict resolution. Put that on your LinkedIn profile. You raised children for 14 years. You know how to resolve a conflict. Management of, right? Home economics. You know how to manage a budget. You make a house function. What could be more tough than that? So put management of budgets. So
But when I make a
everything
14
that
years
you've done.
how do I make it relevant today
But
in
you
the
talk
work?
about what you've learned, right? So you're talking about skills, Shiba. You're telling me about your budgeting. You're telling me about your conflict resolution. You're telling me about your risk management. I'm very interested in knowing your skills. If you've learned it through the home and through your family life, so be it. It's absolutely fine. But create a smart LinkedIn profile with these qualities, and you would then be able to jump into another job. Now, if you're not looking at a job directly, but instead you're looking at education, you still are eligible to do several executive level courses. Executive level courses are designed for people who are older, people who are like in the late 30s, 40s,
Continuing
50s, even
education.
60s.
I do a lot
Yes,
of continuing education in yoga. I do it in theory and practical. That's called continued ed. So, do you counsel women for that as well? Like, I can come to you and you will counsel me as to what I can do with my skill set.
yes,
And
absolutely.
computers. Today, computers are so important. If my degree is 15, 20 years old, perhaps I'm not as proficient with computers as today's 30-year-old might be. So, how will I become competitive in the job field? You will help
Well,
me.
again, that's what we'd help you with. We'd help you understand what are the different courses you can do. Let's say you go for a short 6-month program. You go for that program, come back, and you're competitive in the market again because then you're relying on that education you've got to get you a better job. So one is you either look at all the skills that you've got while you were at home and you put those on your LinkedIn profile, network, and get your job. Second is you use education, use a diploma, use a certificate program, a shorter program, because I understand at that age you don't want to do 4 and 5 years, shorter program, and then go get a job post that.
So, tell me, today's corporate will he choose to employ a 25-year-old who's come back from America, or a 25-year-old who's done his degree here in India?
So, the feedback we get from most of the top firms is that they love people who studied abroad and come back. They prefer those people. They don't pay them more. So the expectations have to be managed. So if I have a salary of 1 lakh rupees for this particular job, or 50,000 or 75,000 or 2 lakhs or whatever the amount is, I'm not going to pay more just because the kid has studied abroad. That is managing expectations.
Okay. So that's not going to happen. I might just come up on the list wherein I might be considered more than this kid, but my uh, pay scale is going to be the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what about if we're talking about an older person who did continuing ed and a younger person and they have the same skill set? Will the corporate employ the younger person or the older person?
So
I'm
the
asking
truth
for a
that
friend.
I love that. My friend had this problem. Yeah. Uh, so the truth is that most corporates do tend to prefer the younger lot because they feel they're more adaptable in the culture of the company. They would just fare better. It's the truth is that yes, corporates would prefer someone younger. What this means is that if you are older with more gaps in your resume, you've got to work harder in explaining why you're a good fit for the role and why and how you would stick on. Just you have to work harder there.
Okay, I want you to give some quick wind up to the parents who are watching. I want you to tell them to chill out a bit, perhaps, and perhaps not pressurize their kids so much, or whatever it is that you want to tell parents today.
See, I would tell parents again, I always believe that let your child do what they want to do, right? There is no question of influencing the child's decision to do medicine or engineering or tech or whatever it is. That does not arise. That's number one. Two, motivate the child. Like motivate the child to do what the child wants to do. That motivation is important. It comes from different sources. You could have a motivation through friends, motivation through movies, motivation through readings, motivation through trips, whatever it be. Motivate your child. So don't force your child, motivate your child. Three, I do agree, Shiba, let your child be. Don't go crazy. Don't go picking on every small thing. He's not studying, he's got grades are low. Calm down. That is very, very important. The parents must calm down. And at the fourth time, provide direction. I'm not saying completely let your child loose. You have to provide direction as a parent. Be a friend to your child during these difficult times. If your child needs to see someone professional, if it's a psychologist for a couple of sessions, it's a very good thing. There's some things a child will just not tell their parent, no matter how close you are.
No.
Some things a child will keep to themselves. We are in very difficult times right now, very difficult times. And children are facing the brunt of it. They are stuck at home. They suffer the frustration of their parents. They suffer the frustration of some other friends. It's not easy for children sometimes. So if they need professional help, or even if they like you feel that there's something going wrong, don't hesitate to get professional help for the child.
Absolutely. That was absolutely wonderful. Now, Karan, there is one thing I do in my live every day. I'm live every day at 6 o'clock. I always ask my guests about a must-have product. It could be a hair, skin, lifestyle product, just something that you recommend to people to use. We're not plugging any product as such, but just people like to know what it is that, remember the youth secret I asked you about? Why do you look so young? You look like a student. तुम career counselor तो लगते नहीं मुझे कुछ student लग रहा मुझे. What is the secret of this? Do you mind if you tell me yours?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Love the question. Genetics, of course. I mean, most of the credit we take is it's not really our credit, it's the credit of genes. Genetics are important. But I've learned over the years that, when I was younger and my parents were like, exercise, 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 I would be like, roll my eyes and be like, whatever. And even till a couple of years ago, yeah, exactly.
Now I'm rolling my eyes at you.
Listen, till about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I would think people are pretentious when they kept talking about the exercise or their morning runs on Juhu Beach. And I would be like, whatever, man, till 7 a.m., who runs in the morning? Come on, dude. We used to laugh at that.
At me.
Over the Really?
Just
I didn't know that.
Every marathon wants to message me you're running.
So, but, over the last couple of years, I have it's like a deep realization where I know the importance of working out. So for me, a large part of my schedule, which does not change, is my 1.5 to 2 hour workout, which involves running, which involves cardio, which involves weights. For me, that now exercise is an important part of my life. And I think exercise affects how you look, how you feel. It's huge. So I'm a big fan now, Shiba, of exercising regularly, right? Yes,
I thought you were going to say you.
So yeah, exercising, yes, huge. Two, I also learned the hard way that moisturizing your skin is critical if you want to look good and you want to look young, because you've got to moisturize.
Yes. So can you recommend a good moisturizer for men?
Yeah, I kept it ready just for you. So there's this product, look here. It's called
Auringa.
It's called Aderma, and it's an epithelial age duo cream. This cream is fantastic because it moisturizes and repairs your skin. Okay. And at the same time, something which is really important is vitamin C. So vitamin C serum.
I like that. Vitamin C single day.
Really important. So vitamin C serum along with this moisturizer, it keeps your skin young. Couple it with exercise. And now the most cliche, eat healthy.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Of course,
If you do that.
So you eat a plant-based diet, which is the best thing you can do for yourself and your gut.
So you do that and your skin and hair stays good. You stay fit, you look young, you feel good.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So my skincare product for today is my rose gold oil. It's a dry oil. It's not sticky. It's rose gold, Moroccan rose gold. So as you said, moisturizing is the key. I moisturize within and without.
Water.
Yes. Hydration, hydration, hydration. So thank you for that. Because
I remember when you say hydration, I remember once you had told me that every flight you take, for the first half of the flight, it's like champagne, 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 champagne. And then the second leg of the flight is green tea, green tea, green tea, green tea, green tea, green tea, green tea. So I know what you mean by hydration.
Yes, absolutely. See, I said 30 minutes and you and me are yapping for almost an hour. And you and I can go on, na? Just
We
go
can go
on.
on. I'm just like, I can't believe it's already 50 minutes. Unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. I'm so entertaining.
Very. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon in person.
Please, when will this end? Tell us. We have to meet and hug and be normal again.
I think
Let's,
after next week. Next week it should end for us.
yay. So, thank you so much, Karan. It was such a pleasure and a privilege having you with me. I am going to be posting this on IGTV and YouTube. If there are still questions that you guys need answered, you can put them under Karan's or my post, and we will still try to answer as many as we can. Is that right, Karan?
Absolutely. It would be a pleasure too. And thank you, Sheba. Thank you very much for having me here. This was my first Insta Live again where someone is asking me questions and I had so much fun with you. So thank you. Thank you a lot.
I
See you
love you.
soon. Take
And I
care.
love everybody who joined us, all of Karan's fans and mine, and my friends and our family. Pretty much all our friends are here, Karan. So
Oh,
thank you
yay.
all. Yes,
Thank you
thank you.
so much, guys. I'm sorry I can't read any comments, but I'm going to go back to the recording. Once Sheba posts it, I'm going to read all of them. So thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Bye.
See you. Take care.